All right, and now we are here. Welcome back to Age of Bison, guys. This is SerSharkDad, and you can already see the little icon there, which is obviously I'm here for another podcast episode talking to Lionheart. Now, a lot of you commented as if, Lionheart and I, in that last video that we did, the United States Spotlight, Lionheart and I go way back. So we, we're just touching base and we're having a good time. We go way back to just that video, actually. But he has graciously agreed to do another sit down with me. And this is kind of a freeform podcast episode that we're going to do where we're going to start talking about high elo stuff and trying to bridge the gap between the two different communities. Thank you for coming back, man. I appreciate it.
You are very welcome.
Awesome. So I'm going to start. It's early here, but in the UK, I know it's probably like noonish 1.
Almost 1 o'clock.
Yeah, almost 1 o'clock. I'm going to ask, what's your favorite? Are you a tea or a coffee guy? I'm guessing it's tea, right?
Stereotype tea, isn't it? I'm definitely more. I like both. I'm definitely more of a tea guy. I mean, it is a stereotype in England, but there are, believe it or not, there are more coffee people than tea people over here as well.
Really interesting. And then, what's your favorite tea? Because I'm a tea guy as well. So
we have over here we have different types of English tea. So we've got numerous brands. It's probably between a brand called PG Tips and Yorkshire tea.
Okay. Yeah. I import all my Yorkshire, right? So I have massive boxes of Yorkshire. Yeah, just on a tea cart.
Oh, damn. You're a man of culture.
Yeah, we do. I don't do PJ Tips. We do, I do a lot of loose leaf. So we do a lot of Taylor's. I don't know if you, His Majesty.
Not heard of them.
Oh, really? It has His Majesty's stamp on it from the Prince of Wales.
Ooh.
So I make sure, you know what I mean?
It must be good then.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then, of course, Yorkshire tea. So funny. What's your favorite place to visit in England, or your favorite place in the UK?
My favorite place in the UK to visit. Probably there's a place called Stamford, which isn't actually too far away from where I live, in Cambridgeshire. And it actually got voted a little while ago one of the most beautiful cities in Europe.
Interesting.
And it's got one of those kind of old, England vibes. It's a very English city. It's just the culture. If you want to embrace yourself in English culture, that's the best way. Really good pubs, lots of really good pubs. It's a great place. We go there. Me and the lads go there at least a couple of times a year to do what we call a pub crawl.
Yeah,
You know what a pub crawl is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So pissheads like me and you. And it's everything's in walking distance. It's a really beautiful city. Town, should I say? It's a town, not a city. I would say that.
Wonderful. Yeah, is it is it countryside, or it sounds like it's a countryside sort of town?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, sort of. It's not far from the countryside. It's it's not like the classic London hustle and bustle. It's a really nice kind of town, with lots of culture and lots of history to it as well. It's got really nice churches and stuff like that. So
I have to wonder, is Hot Fuzz accurate at all to those countryside towns? You know what I mean? That's one of the best comedies.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, apart from the whole crime thing.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty accurate. Yeah.
That's funny. I love it, man. So we're I could talk about England all day. My wife, she studied in Oxford.
Right.
So, yeah. So she's not British,
very
by the way, but she was there, and I've been to Europe a few times, but I haven't been to the UK yet. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, we could talk about this all day.
Sweet. Oxford's actually really nice. Visually, Oxford's a really, really nice city. It's that's obviously one of the oldest kind of cities in Europe, I think.
Oh yeah.
Especially culturally, it's got also some of the richest. So yeah, I would definitely suggest anyone that comes to England should go to Oxford, because it's actually a really nice city.
Right.
It's got that old vibe to it as well as the new vibe, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that people run into though when they go to Oxford is that they're not students, so they see all those beautiful buildings and it's you can't go inside because you're not a student. So it's kind of disappointing. But it is one of the world's oldest universities. I think it's like the third or fourth oldest university in the world. So it's kind of crazy. Like you look at, she's got those sweatshirts and it says Oxford University established like 1300, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. We're a pretty old country.
Yeah, man. So let's get into it. Let's just start off. What are your thoughts on the patch?
So there's been a bit of an uproar when this first got patched, and I think because the general consensus was that it was a bit anticlimactic, just because it was a simple balance patch. But the more I kind of go through it, and the more I think about it, like the more I actually think it's actually quite good. It kind of addresses, especially at the top level, it addresses most, not all, but most of the biggest balance issues, particularly USA, for example. A couple of bits with Lakota, and a couple of other bits with other high kind of tier list civilizations. So I actually think, although it's not that big, it would have been nicer to have something bigger. I think it's like a diamond in the rough is how I would describe it. I actually think it's a pretty. The more I think about it, the better I think it is. We could talk about Sweden, which is unshaken, but there's it's not perfect, but I think it addresses most of the biggest issues that we had. So I actually quite like the patch.
Is Sweden broken now?
On the contrary, it's one of the worst.
It's one of the worst. Okay, interesting. Yeah. You think they killed it?
Yeah. It's funny. We could come on to Sweden. We could discuss Sweden. But it's basically the hacker pellets got nerfed, and the hacker pellets actually did need to get nerfed because that unit by itself was actually busted, especially en masse. Like if you massed with all the cards, and the hacker pellet was actually kind of busted. But the problem is that Sweden was already quite a low tier civilization, so you're nerfing something about a civ that fair enough needed to be nerfed, but it's already a low tier civ. So you nerf something that rightly needed to be nerfed, but you gave no love, you gave no buffs in return. That was the problem. So
okay, I see. So then let me ask you about this though. So when the DLC was delayed and then they came out with that patch announcement, hey guys, we're going to do a little patch, or they said we're going to do a balance update, right? What were your initial kind of thoughts and expectations going into it? Were you expecting something bigger? Because I know that I wouldn't say you have connections to the developers, but I know that sometimes Talanis will talk to you or whoever, So were your expectations just like very tempered? Would you say that you didn't expect much out of the patch, or were you thinking it was going to be a sort of data patch like what we got?
Well, I speak to a lot of people, a lot of people speak to me as well, and obviously we've both got Discords and stuff like that. Right, so I keep my ear close to the ground. So I'll be honest, I was kind of expecting it. I'd heard mumblings and stuff like that, but I just kind of guessed, and I thought that might be the case. And the reason why I thought that might be the case is because I knew. It's funny because I think a big tell, right, is when a patch is dropping, or when one of the developers or some of the developers want to know kind of thoughts and opinions and stuff like that. You'll notice that people like Talanis will be quite active. They'll be quite active in Twitch streams and stuff like that. And it had been a while since I'd spoken to Talanis, or since he'd been around. So I was like, yeah, I think he's just busy with Age of Mythology, which is understandable. And I just thought with Age of Mythology, it was just a bit, it was a bit too much of an ask to have something big. So I kind of expected it, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying because of the Age of Mythology stuff, you saw the patch announcement and you were like, there's no way that they're going to get a full patch out there. That's just going to be a small little thing. Am I understanding that correctly? Okay. Cool. Yeah. Cool. So then
I feel like if there was something coming soon, we would have seen more of a buzz. Do you know what I mean? Like leading up to that, I think we would have seen more engagement from devs and stuff like prior, because previous DLC, that's what happened. And I certainly hadn't seen any buzz or anything like that, any activity. So I kind of, that's why I guessed it. And I presume the reason is because of Age of Mythology.
So that kind of tees up a huge question, right? Because you're saying that prior to something big being announced, we're going to get a lot of engagement. They start to kind of amp things up. Do you feel as if that the team, the developers, the community managers, the powers that be, they really engage with us? Because I know that seems to be now, I don't know if you listen to our, because our latest podcast episode, I was kind of going off on a tirade about this, so everybody knows my thoughts and feelings, but I wanted to get your thoughts on this and that. Do you feel as if that they really do communicate and reach out to the community as a whole, like when something is coming up, or is it just sort of hey, a patch is coming out, here it is?
Probably not as a whole. It's difficult because I'll be part of the community that probably will be engaged, or people will talk to me and stuff like that. So I guess I can't explain it from maybe your perspective or anyone else's other perspective, but I'm quite fortunate, and I'm very fortunate in the sense of, because I think I'm one of the biggest streamers for Age of Empires 3.
Right.
I do feel like I'll see Talanis on my channel, and I know I keep singling out Talanis, but he tends to be the only dev that we have engagement with mostly. So I tend to see him on my channel quite a bit, or he'll be on ESOC channel, for example.
Right.
And he will engage and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's kind of true, but again, probably to only specific parts of the community.
Okay. So the accusations that go around are that Lionheart is a puppet master, right? That you're the guy, you're behind the scenes, right? You have the connection, you have the ear, and YouTuber patch and all that kind of stuff. Do you want to speak to that, dispel that maybe, or is it true? I mean, it could be true. I don't know.
No, yeah. So I have nothing to do with. I honestly now these days I have nothing to do with patches. I literally. It's funny because you can speak to other members of the community who are part of balancing. I'm certainly not part of the balancing. I do think my YouTube is, what I think happens is, I think maybe there might be a developer or someone from that deals with balance will keep an eye on all, not just mine, but all like YouTube games and things like that. And if they see something on there, I don't think Talanis is watching every single one of my YouTube videos, but I do think if there's something on there which they feel is blatantly obviously busted or OP or needs changing, then I think they will use some of those videos as a way of doing that. And I think that's a force for good for certain things. I think what was the team thing recently? It was the Russia
patriarchs, where they sling the resources and you get those priests.
That's it. Team patriarchy. So that was clearly something like unbelievably busted, right? So I've put a few videos out on that. I haven't spoken to any developers about that particular issue. What I've done is I've just posted some videos on it, which I think is some fun and engaging content. And it's not just a way of showcasing something that's busted. It's also a way of showcasing something on how to beat it. Yes, something can be busted, but then you can see how it can be beaten as well. So it works both ways. But I do think there might be someone on the balance patch who will look at that and say, yeah, okay, that's clearly evidence that something is busted. So rather than me being cahoots with a developer, I do think that probably some of the developers look at some of the videos, or one of the developers looks at some of the videos and thinks, yeah, okay, that's a good way, that's a good reason to nerf something. And that, if anything, I think that shows that someone from the balance team clearly cares and is engaging in some content from the Age of Empires 3 community, and is using that to help balance the game. And as a result, that team patriarchy card was nerfed, albeit I think maybe too much, but it was still nerfed.
Right. No, I mean, I totally agree. Like from where I'm standing, right? The balance information has to come from the ground up. Right, so it has to come from organically inside the community and then be passed up. It is interesting though how some things that you don't ever ask for, or some things that are still glitches and bugs that just never get addressed, never get ironed out. You know what I mean? It's super odd, and so, for example, like I'm not complaining, but because my win rate with Britain right now is 70%, you all can check that out. And, you know, Brit GMT, you know, I don't do Gentlemen of the Pike because I'm not disgusting, but, you know, I'll do like, you know, a semi FI Brit GMT kind of build, and it works, you know, and it's great. And, you know, I had been making a build when that card first came out, and then you had released your video, and then, you know, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, done, right? And then people were saying, this is disgusting, it needs to be gotten rid of, da-da-da-da-da.
Yep.
And then there was nothing that addressed the GMT thing. And it's kind of interesting how some people will accuse you of having killed a civ. For example, like I saw a forum post one other day that was like, Lionheart killed Ethiopia. Okay. I mean, guys obviously, you know, smoking the pack. Like, I mean, that's not the case. But you know, because you released a video that had, you know, they were healing the cannon or whatever.
And the bats training thing.
Right. And so then therefore that they killed Ethiopia. But then when you're showcasing Brit GMT and they don't do that, so then what is their explanation for that? You know what I mean? Like it makes no sense.
I need to beat the allegations right because people seem to think that my stuff gets I'm in cahoots with someone from the developers and balance. If anything, right, I need to tell guys this, right? If anything, I shoot myself in the foot because all of my stuff that I do always gets nerfed, and I could.
The revolts, right?
Every single revolt. Yeah. Every single revolt has been nerfed, right? Every single revolt, particularly the revolts that I use, like South Africa and Chile, right? You can go back, right, and almost everything, you know, the CA revolt, you know, the biggest one was the Three Towers. You know, at my ELO level, I was the only one doing the revolt FI, and you know that got nerfed into the ground. So you know everything. It's almost like most things I showcase and do gets nerfed, and the reason why is often because I'll just showcase my wins of doing a certain strategy, but people, unless they tune into my stream, they won't actually know I often lose more than I win. But if you just look at my YouTube, you'll see a strat and you'll think, oh my god, that's busted because he wins doing it. Well, in actual fact, I lose more than I win doing it. So just to beat the allegations, guys, more of my stuff that I do gets nerfed than anything else, believe me.
So I want you to maintain a really good relationship with Talanis and whoever, and I want you to continue to maintain those connections. And I know you can't really get into detail as to exactly what those conversations are and how that all looks, but I think some people will listen to this. This is kind of the drama side that we're going to start bleeding into, just to kind of give you a heads up. Some people will listen to this and say, well, how is it fair that Lionheart specifically is somebody who gets to talk and gets to hear the kind of rumblings and the musings behind the scenes, when really all they could do is they just hire some sort of part-time community manager, or have a developer come on and start speaking to the masses, speak to the crowd, and give us some content, or partner with some people, and work with us. We're not even in the Red Bull tournament. We're not, we don't get any sort of seasonal updates. We don't get, there's no purchasing cosmetic packs or anything like that. But Lionheart gets to speak to these guys and gets to hear anything. It gets to hear things and gets engagement. And so what would your response be to that? Would you say that that's a fair assertion, or do you see what I'm kind of getting at, of how yeah.
So just to start off, I'm in no secret group or anything like that with anyone, right? What happens is, Talanis is a really sound guy, by the way. If anyone hasn't spoken to him before, Talanis is a really cool dude, by the way. And that's not me just trying to, suck some D. He's actually a really cool guy.
Right.
And from my perspective, all I do, right, is I stream and I create content on YouTube because I love this game, right? And it's my favorite game. And then at certain times, I'll just see Talanis, who happens to be developer of the game. He'll come on stream. He might send the odd Discord message, and things like that. I haven't been a part of a game where another developer has done that before. So if anything, I feel like we're quite fortunate and blessed to have someone like Talanis, who honestly, from my perspective, is a really sound guy. He does care. and he does engage with the community, albeit from certain people's perspective, he might not tune into every stream, or he might not be a part of every Discord. He's only one man, okay?
Right.
So, but from my perspective, I think he does. From looking in, right, from the outside looking in, I think he does a really good job as best as he can, because he's not always, the higher ups are the ones that make the big decisions. But from my perspective, Talanis does what he can. He seems like a really nice guy. If you ever talk to him, he's got the best dad jokes you'll ever see, which is something, obviously, being a new dad, I'm trying to improve on now. So he's a really nice guy. So I and again, I'm not part of some secret group, right? I just speak to him, and I'll see the Twitch chat will start talking to him, and people will start saying, Talanis, you need to nerf this, Talanis, you need to buff this, blah 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 blah.
Oh god.
So they exactly. So and he puts himself in the firing line, which fair play to him, because he has had to take some shit, right? He puts himself in the firing line. So if people want to be a part of that, what I suggest is, maybe try and encourage him to come to some of the other Twitch streams if he's not a part of Twitch streams. Or people could come to me and say, oh, the next time Talanis is in a chat or something, raid these guys, or raid these guys, so they can be a part of the conversation. Maybe something like that. Or he probably doesn't know every single community out there. So that's all I could suggest, really. But again, from my perspective, I think Talanis is a pretty sound guy.
But my question here is, my understanding is that Talanis is not he's not any sort of community manager. He's one of the, like, a lead developer, right? Is that correct? That's his position. Like, he's a coding guy.
I actually
right?
don't know. Yeah, okay. Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. See, like, I think my rub would be that Talanis is just a guy, right? Who's just choosing, which is a great thing, right? I'm not knocking that at all. Like, if you're choosing to, like, enter into Twitch streams and, like, engage with the community, like, hats off to you. But my thing is that why not have a community manager? You know what I mean? Like, that comes in and
I think
says,
they do, don't they?
They have the one.
Is it Ashlyn?
Ashley,
is that
Ashley? Yeah, she's in the Discords, but I don't. As far as I can see in my understanding now, none of the developers are ever going to talk to me now because of me like putting myself out there, being like, yeah, they don't do anything. She is, as far as is my understanding, she only plays AoE 2, and so she's mainly active in that community.
I agree.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, well, why not have? Because I just think about how, like, for example, like our ESOC tournaments, right? For example, or if FFP has a tournament or whatever, we have our Santa Smash Invitational. Every Discord community seems to run their own website, runs their own tournaments, their own events, and I don't understand why somebody from the team, right, at World's Edge or whoever, doesn't have somebody that comes in and says, hey, you know what, we'll kind of post this on the side and we'll promote it, and we'll chip in 250 quid to, like, make this happen, like, to make it a really good show match or something like that, and then have somebody that's out there just kind of engaging in the streams, collecting feedback, passing it up. You know what I mean? Like, Talanis is just a guy. He's just a developer. But, I think that's really what my question is that, why
from the communities. I totally agree, and I totally hear what you're saying. And I actually was having this conversation with someone the other day. Honestly, it feels like Talanis should be doing that job, because he would be much better at it. I'm not here to kind of, shit on anyone, but I totally agree with what you're saying. And it does feel like there's a lot of empty noise when it comes to Age of Empires 3. We all know this, and it's true, and we deserve a lot of love. When you look at the Steam numbers, we bloody deserve a bit of love, because our numbers are really good on Steam.
Right.
And I think, to be honest with you, the discussion I was having recently, I think it might be Nilly. Do you know who that guy is? He's a competitive Age of Empires 2 guy, right?
Okay. Nilly.
Something like that. Yeah, and I think it was him, or it was someone like that, who actually, I think they've been giving some role as part of the Age of Empires franchise, right? And it's to do with, like, tournaments and things like that. And he clearly does care about the franchise as a whole. And I think part of that was there was something put out on across the Discord, like the main Discord, about the Age of Empires 3 tournament that we just had with ESOC. I think that was it. I think that was it. It might have been Josh I was speaking to. I honestly can't remember. And he put something out there about what was going on with one of the latest. It must have been the ESOC tournament. And I think he's probably quite new in the role. I'm not really sure, but I think that might actually be like the answer to our prayers. If rather than whoever the community manager is, whether that's Ashley, I don't know, whoever it might be, rather than them, I think going to, if it's Nilly, going to this guy and trying to convince and speaking to him, because he seems to be someone who kind of gets it, he gets it, right? And I think he cares. So that might actually, again, don't quote me on any of this, but I was having this discussion, and I think, and he's like a pro player, right?
Yeah.
So he gets it on the tournament scene and stuff like that. So I think that might be our way in, trying to speak to this guy and getting it out there, getting a bit of love for Age of Empires 3 as well.
It is a little shit though, because you think about it, where you have like, you're the biggest Age of Empires 3 creator that we have, pretty much, and I like to think that, I don't know, I garner some sort of viewership, and so like I get a few thousand, and so
I watch your videos, by the way.
Oh, I
like your videos.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. And so, like we're sitting here like, well, who's the community manager? Hey, I heard that there was somebody that was talking about us. So, like you would think that like if somebody was coming in and they had to, I don't know, manage the community and engage with us, they would go to, I don't know, like the largest Twitch streamer first and just introduce themselves, if that made, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like if that were my job, like if WE came to me and said, hey, we're going to offer you the community manager position, I would be like, okay, hello, Lionheart. Like, it would be really cool if, we got connected, because obviously you have a base, you know what I mean, to speak to. So I just
believe me, it wouldn't be me. Believe me, they wouldn't give me that any job like that.
Oh no! Is it because the toxic allegations? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Toxic,
well, yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, someone like from the ESOC would probably be best. But
are you toxic, Lionheart? Are you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I am the king of toxic. That's my name. But I don't. There's one particular person, we all know that.
Right. Yeah.
I see that as standing up to bullies rather than being toxic.
Oh,
but
100%.
Hey, let's not go off topic too much.
Yeah,
I mean, unless you want to,
we can talk about
this is your video.
Okay, but no, that's actually smart, because I think that I want to follow up with this, because there is a sort of in this line of discussion, right, where people say, oh, well, they don't engage with us, right? There are some people who are out there who say, well, the reason why they don't engage with us is because Age of Empires 3 as a community is so toxic. And so therefore the developers see us and they see the cesspool of toxicity and they just want nothing to do with it. I think that argument is bogus personally, but it does lead to a kind of question of exactly, I'll just say it, how much influence does Revnak have in terms of detracting from like people trying to engage with this community because of the fact that, of his behavior when it comes to those ESOC tournaments and the invitationals and things like that. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts?
So the best way of looking at it is him and his little cronies, because there's only a couple of them. There's only a few of them. They are a loud minority, I think, is the safest way. We're not a toxic community. We're in actual fact, we are. Because I've been a part of toxic communities. Like, if anyone has played any MOBAs out there, I was a master rank on Heroes of the Storm.
Okay.
Which is one of those like 5v5 MOBAs. And I played that for a lot of years, and my God, that is a toxic environment. Like people are literally just like at the beginning of a game. These games last for anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes. There's you pick a wrong character that someone doesn't agree with in a 5v5, and they'll just instantly lose the game for you. They'll instantly disconnect, right? And so you'll lose it. Like, you got League of Legends and things like that. These games are really toxic, and if anyone hasn't been a part of them, like, you don't want to be, because they are toxic. Age of Empires 3 is 99% of it is friendly. It's fun banter. And that's what 99% of it is. There is just a fringe minority, and we know who that is. We all know who it is. We know what Discord that is. Who try to have more of an influence than they actually do, but actually do not have a very big influence whatsoever. What they like to do is they just like to discredit and try and shout the loudest the people that are actually trying to be a force for good, such as ESOC, such as you guys, whoever,
Right.
they will just shout everyone down. And what they'll do is they'll use the Age of Empire forums, the official forums and the official Discord, and they'll just spam on there on multiple accounts, because it's him on 3 accounts and his sidekick on another 2 accounts, and it's really honestly it's really just a couple who are trying to discredit the good work that most of the community does. So as a whole, Age of Empires 3 is a really good community. I love it. It's a really caring community. You just have to join your Discord, my Discord, ESOC's Discord, and it's just full of people trying to help other people.
Right.
The free food party is another good one, and it's just they're just friendly Discords trying to help people. But yeah, it's just a very small minority who, if that wasn't a part of the community, it would be 100% a really, really great community.
Yeah, I totally agree. I firmly agree. And I never understood those arguments of, oh, well, because we're so toxic. And I'm like, have you met, like you said, have you met toxic game communities? Like, do you know what that actually looks like? I mean, people
go play them over.
Go
play them over, or go play Call of Duty.
Like, I have never had it where I play an Age of Empires 3 game or been in a Discord and people are telling me, to go kill myself. It's just never happened. Like,
yeah.
There was the one time that we did have like a guy who was a big alt-right, big fan of like Russia and Wagner group that was in our Discord, but he was promptly banned. That was the only time that I've ever like saw like anything that was resembling any sort of toxicity. So I don't know. I think the idea that HOTP and RevNac and all of them are like somehow detracting from the ability for the developers to engage with us is a bit, I think, like you said, overstated. They're just a loud minority.
It's exactly that's the best way of putting it. Literally #loud minority, and that's all they are.
I want to ask you another question here. One of the things that came to mind, because I want to go back to the patch now. The big contention as well was the quality of life statement, right? The statement that they were making quality of life improvements, and those just not being really present in the patch. I just wanted to get your thoughts on exactly what kind of quality of life updates that you would want to see in the game, and what do you think is the deal with the lack of sort of, I don't know, those sort of elements that we see in perhaps other Age of Empires titles.
Quality of life updates, interesting.
I know it's a little bit
me,
of a
the biggest.
curveball.
Yeah, I don't know what sort of quality. This will differ depending on who you talk to, because you can talk to some people and they still say that they get an attack move bug. They're people who say that there's a pathing issue with the game. Which again is something that's tried to be addressed. There are, I'll give you an example. The shock infantry having bigger hitboxes, I guess, is a way of trying to deal with the pathing in this game a little bit, because as shock infantry were just by default better than cavalry because they had better pathing. So they were just way more efficient. What else? Outer sinks generally is what for me is a big part of quality of life, is not having outer sync stuff. I don't know if any of that's been resolved, but I'm probably not the right person to ask about that. But because generally, I think the game's in a really pretty good spot. Like have you got any particular, because I know you've got a huge community. Are they saying anything to you, or?
I think one of the things
particular issues.
Yeah, so one of the things that a lot of like low elo scrubs like me are always asking for is that we want a little bit more of well, first off, let's speak to this. Like, you and I are both streamers, you and I both, have YouTube channels. So one of the things is the freaking like game replay features. Like the fact that we still haven't figured that out in terms of, replaying games that, like you said, the out of sync, but also the fact that, I can't rewind. Just a game capture, right? Like, we don't have that feature, and for some reason or another that still hasn't been really addressed. There's no like streamer UI that's built into the game, really. for us to be able to use properly. Like, you have to have your own assets made to, like, cover, the time and all that other kinds of things. Like, right, like these things that are just simply not included in the game. But that's just on the streamer perspective. In terms of just like for low and mid elo, I think one of the things that I continue to harp on is the profile page and the way that our elo system works, right? So I think that it's kind of lacking. I like the idea that the Age of Empires 4 system has like proper ranks, right? And then seasons, and then you get to a certain rank, right? And then that has like, you get medals and like little awards to put on your profile page, and then it kind of hides the elo, right? Because it's like, at the end of the day, what am I fighting for? I'm just fighting for this arbitrary number that apparently determines like my value as a human being when it comes to Age of Empires 3 players. But you know what I mean? Like that profile page is quite bare, and I feel like they could be doing more with that, like tie awards to, your rank achievements, or even people have suggested having, separate ranks and awards, tied to certain civs, right? So like play, I don't know, 25 games as Mexico and, accomplish, a return to Mexico revolt in those games, and then you get a little something or whatever, I don't know. But these are the kinds of
what they used to, what something you've just reminded me of. I agree that profile page could be used, and I think the clan system could be used a lot better as well. That they just put that in the game, and then they've just left it, because you can't even put comments on there without them being kind of deleted and the next day and stuff like that. Right. So that could definitely be something better for the community, for like engagement and stuff like that. I think, and then give that clan kind of page, something to do, like put something on there, like, where we can engage better, and it's not just a kind of forum board, it's something else. I don't have the ideas, but I agree with you saying. And one thing you reminded me of, I don't know if did you play the Legacy Age of Empires 3?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember you could win medals? So like,
yes.
And that was kind of like season based, right? Because I remember when I played vanilla Age of Empires 3, this is really going back, like I don't know how often it was, but like every 6 months or so, the season would kind of rewind. So like similar to what you were saying, I wouldn't quite like the Age of Empires 4 system or any of that, but what I would like to do is have something unique, which all you'd have to do is go back to how it used to be. So you'd get medals, right? Because I remember me and my brother winning a medal, and it would be like, you got 2v2 medal, we got like the bronze medal for the most amount of wins. In that, like, I don't know if it was like 3 or 4 months or however much it was, like season, and then like there'd be obviously a gold, silver, and a bronze medal for that, and then that medal, if you clicked on someone's profile, that would be permanently there forever. And it was something that was really cool, and it added a bit of pizzazz to someone's profile page, and it just looked really, really cool. So maybe things like that, bringing back, rather than copying another system, bring something like that back, and just like jazzing it up a little bit to do it in modern standards, and give people those medals back. Give them the 2v2 gold medal if they won the most amount of 2v2s in a 2-month period or whatever. I think something like that would be really cool.
Yeah, like I love the idea of the medals. I like the idea of, I mean, I would love the old ranking system back too, if we're talking about Legacy.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's so cool. Like, instead of, I don't know, like, I mean, I know it's an achievement to hit 1800 or 2K or whatever, right? Like, and to be on that leaderboard, but I think it's much cooler to be like, I don't know, general. You know what I mean? It says general and it has your rank on there, I feel like, and then people would understand that is between these ELO brackets, and it wouldn't feel as kind of toxic in that sense, So yeah, that's kind of the quality of life that I think is kind of palled around in the Age of Sombros Discord. Those kinds of things.
And that would give a bit of uniqueness back to Age of Empires 3. Give those rankings back. Put those rankings in the game, right, on top of your elo. On top of your elo, so they go like it was back in the day. You had both of them, right? You had both rankings. I know the ranking, like Colonel and Brigadier and stuff like that, it was based off your home city level. So there'd have to be a little, tweaking about that. I guess you just have to do it based on ELO purely. But yeah, bring that back and make that something unique. And then again, talk about your profile page. You could put what someone's highest rank was on there. So this person got Colonel, or this person's highest rank was Brigadier. Things like that. I think that would be really cool. But these are nice things to talk about. But let's be honest, I don't think these are things that will come into existence, unfortunately.
Man, you're killing me. See, one can hope. One can hope.
Oh, yeah. Well, one can hope.
Let's let me ask you this. Since we're talking about elo, this is a good segue. What do you think is high elo?
Oh, high elo?
Like if I say, he's a high elo player, what is the minimum number that comes to your head as to what constitutes a high elo player?
I wouldn't consider high anything below 1900, but even then, generally, I'm talking about 2K plus.
Okay, you're talking about 2K plus. And then what would you say is if I said he's a low elo player?
See, it's my perspective is very different, isn't it? So the last thing I want to be is like, because I know people's perspective on these things will change. A low elo, I don't know. Low is probably 1400 and low and below.
Okay, interesting. So, and then my follow-up.
But just I have to put a disclaimer there like that. That's not actually as a whole. That's actually not low elo, by the way. But when I'm talking about the game, that's what I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what I'll say is low elo.
It's just your perspective. It's okay.
Low elo.
Like if somebody's out there,
it's not actually low.
Yeah, I mean, like if somebody's out there and they're like 1500 and they're like, oh my god, Lionheart thinks I'm low, and I'm like, cope. It's all right.
That's actually good. That's actually good.
Right.
But, yeah.
So, and as a meme question, and this is going to tee up a conversation, but as a meme question, do you think a 1400 elo player makes mills in Age 1? No, you don't think that. Okay. So at least we have that. That's good, because I'm not going to say names, but there is a particular professional player that does think that if you're a 1400 elo, you make a mill in Age 1. So, but no. I think that's what. But you see statements like that, right? So, and I'm picking on you just a little bit, but I understand what you mean when you say like that's not actually low. But like if somebody asks me, right, well, what's high elo, and I'm like 1600 plus easily, and it's like, oh man, like if somebody like you, like I think you've hit 2K a number of times, right? Or you're above 2K, right? I think is that the case?
About 2100 at the moment.
Okay, so then for somebody like at that range, it's like, well, 1600 is like, I mean, that's a whole planet away from you, right? You're talking about 500 elo difference, you know what I mean? But for me, I'm
that's
like,
why.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why. And I think this, and then statements like, well, if you're 1400, you're making mills in Age 1. And I'm like, people at 1K
Please
elo.
tell me that was Julian.
Yeah, it was
Please
Julian.
tell me that was
Julian.
Julian.
Yeah, it was Julian. I wasn't trying to name the names.
Julian, no. To compared to Julian would probably say I'm low elo. You know, so,
this is the thing that I want to talk about as well on this, is that there's a vast disconnect, I think, between the high and the low. That exists in this game, and it's interesting because we don't have Platypus Slayer, right? This guy, he yaps. I don't know if you've ever gone to a conversation with him. He talks forever. Like if you start him talking, Platypus Slayer.
Oh, right, yeah.
He just talks forever. Like he doesn't shut up. And so, his whole thing though is that, and I want to get your thoughts on this, is that Age of Empires 2 has Viper. You know what I mean? They have certain players that are just like high elo, but they're very, very like mindful of the general game experience and plugging into people who are like at that average to below average elo mark, which technically speaking, I don't know if you know this, but the average elo in Age of Empires 3 is 1050. Is 1050.
Okay.
So that is the height of the parabola curve. So anything above that is actually technically above average. If you are talking to an 1100 elo player, they are above the average curve. And so he says that, Platt will talk about how we don't have like a sort of cohesive high elo group, at least from his perspective, that is really plugged into like the average player and then speaking to them and having a sort of and having conversations about balance and skill set and just reaching out to them. And so I want to know what your thoughts are as somebody who is above 2K elo, who is well above what I would consider a high elo player. Do you feel as if that is true, that our high elo players are not really connecting at all, or do you think that's just hogwash?
So balance can be difficult, because I completely understand, right? And I talk about this all the time. Balance is not the same at high elo compared to low elo. So what is unbalanced at 2k elo will not be the same at 1k elo. Not always, but you know, there'll obviously be correlations, but that's not always the case, because the easiest example I can give is people at 2100 elo. A lot of people don't consider Otto to be, you know, top tier or anything like that. They consider them lame, but not OP, because there's a difference between being overpowered and lame.
Right.
Whilst people even a few hundred elo level, you know, like 1700, 1800 elo and lower, will consider Otto to be, you know, the worst piece of shit, you know, on the planet, and like the most broken thing on the planet. So and I don't want to be. It's a skill problem, bruh. It kind of is. It kind of is to a degree, but when you for anyone who's listening, when you manage balance, it has to be top down. It generally has to be top down, because what is balance will be what the top players' understanding of the game is, right? So it generally has to be top down. However, that being said, there's no reason why I agree that perhaps there could be more engagement with lower elo players, because I hear sometimes that, you know, there'll be some low. So let's say someone at 1k elo will say to me something's broken, and I didn't even consider that to really be a thing, because it doesn't even exist at my level. There's no reason why that couldn't be nerfed or buffed, because it wouldn't impact top level, but it could give a really nice, like we were saying earlier, quality of life to lower elos. So although balance has to be top down, there may be a disconnect, and I agree, because I've been part of quote unquote balance discussions with in certain discords which are taken into consideration with the developers, and it's more on the high elo end than the low elo end. So perhaps those groups could have a more low elo input, perhaps.
Okay. Do you feel as if high elo players, I guess recusing and discounting yourself just because, you know, the fact that you are, like, you're sitting down and having this conversation with me, you know, and you're what I would say, like, you're 700 elo, 800 elo above me. But for everybody else, I guess, like, you know, I feel like there's a wealth of knowledge that exists. And do you feel as if those people who are above 2K are really engaging with people who are, you know, at, let's say let's keep it at the 1K mark. No, they're not. Okay.
Of course they're not. No.
Okay. Do we have an elitism problem in Age of Empires 3, do you think?
No, I don't know. I don't think it's an elitism issue. I think it's more of a kind of, you're in your cul-de-sac, someone else is in their cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, you know, the thing is, you talked about Viper earlier, who does have his ear to the ground on all levels. You know, maybe if we had someone like, you know, if I was a professional, you know, and this is what I did on as a day job, you know, maybe I could spend more time, you know, and engaging with all elo levels. But unfortunately, you know, I do this as a side gig, and it's a hobby, and unfortunately, you know, I don't have enough time to do it. And I imagine that might be the same for every other Age of Empires region, because we don't have a professional content creator, right? Not someone that does it full time since Aussie Drongo, right? So yeah. I think that's, you know, Age of Empires 2 is a bigger community. They can have professionals that do it full time because it's a big enough community to sustain people doing it full time. So perhaps it's a time management issue and just physically not being able to, you know, spend as much time, you know, as they would like doing, you know, engaging with everyone in the community, because you know, like for me, for example, I finish work, I go to the gym, I finish work, I try and squeeze it all together so I can spend a few hours in midday, during midweek to try and stream. Once I've done that, I'm then busy trying to make sure I've got a video on my YouTube, for the next day, with all the thumbnails done, all that sort of stuff like that. And then I try and also on top of that spend time in my Discord, speaking to everyone, responding to everyone, and stuff like that. And I'd need to have a full-time job to go into everyone's Discord and speak to everyone, and act almost as like a community manager, things like that. So maybe it's a time issue.
Yeah.
That we in Age of Empires 3 unfortunately can't afford, because we're not quite as big. Although I think our community is a good size, we're not as big as Age of Empires 2.
Right. And I've been seeing your arms on stream, man. You're looking really good. I gotta be honest with you.
I'm huge. Thank you. I'm very. Do you know what? People coming to watch me shit talk is just hilarious. I still don't believe people do that, but my YouTube numbers are doing really well as well, and I consider it an absolute honor that I have those numbers, and I honestly, every time I stream and every time I put a video out, sometimes I look at the numbers and I think, wow. I am very lucky to have those numbers. So shout out to the Age of Empires 3 community.
I was making more of a comment on your gym. Like, your arms are huge.
Oh,
not your numbers are huge.
I thought you meant like my stream numbers and stuff.
No. I mean, that's great too, but
I could do a whole podcast on fitness, because they're my two hobbies. Like, my two hobbies have always been like fitness/gym and gaming. So I'm as as passionate about the gym as I am gaming. So
yeah, same. I was really quick, I don't know, this came to my mind, but I discovered the snatch grip deadlift this week.
Oh damn.
And that was just fantastic. Like Friday, so Fridays usually I because I do a lot of running as well. So on Fridays I try to fit my leg day or my deadlift session in, just because you don't want your leg shot when you're going for a run. And so yeah, that snatch grip was like fantastic, man. I don't know if you've ever done. Nice. I don't know if you do deadlifts.
Yes.
Okay, so then obviously you have your conventional pull, but the snatch grip is like an overhand grip, but then you put your hands on like towards the ends of the bar, where like that outer ring on the barbell, like your pointer finger and your thumb go around that, and then you just yank that shit up.
It's almost like an Olympic lift. You do an Olympic lift when you do that.
Kind of like a snatch, right? But like instead it's just a deadlift, and the upper back just gets shredded. It's amazing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I bet it does a different part of the back, doesn't it? Like, or it focuses on a different part of the back. What's your I do the classic like one underarm, one overarm.
Yeah, the
grip.
Conventional grip.
Yeah. So it's funny you said it, because conventional to me is the double overarm. That's what that's how I was taught. But it is. What's your deadlift numbers?
Oh, don't let me put it. My strongest. So let's talk about body weight really quick. So my body weight right now is 160 pounds, 165. I'm like a 160 to 165, let's say.
Do you know what that is in kilos? Or should
sorry. Let's
160, did you say?
Yeah, 165 pounds. Which
160.
Aren't we? Don't we have the same system?
Oh wow. Okay. No, I have
metric.
We're stupid when it comes to England. Uses fucking stone and shit. Like I don't know, but I prefer kilos. Most young people prefer kilos, but a lot of like boomers, in England, they'll still use. Oh, I weigh 12 stone, whatever, you know. So you're 165 pounds, which is 70. Well, it's rounded up. It's 75 kilos.
There you go.
So I've literally got another like 30 kilos on you.
So you're a big boy, right?
Yeah.
So like when
it's funny that's exactly what my wife says. We won't go there.
Oh man. Hey, congrats. So then
Cheers.
So I would say my strength PR on a conventional deadlift is 300 pounds. So you convert that to kilos, whatever that is.
Let's do that.
300.
So you can do. So that's rounded up. That's 104. So it's 136. But Yeah, so 136 kilograms. We'll round it to 140 kilos. So 140 kilos. That's impressive, man. That's good. That's really good for your body weight. That's really, really good.
Yeah,
That's
one
that's
pull.
basically double, right?
Yeah, that's one pull.
Yeah.
And that's like, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a couple days off after that one. But yeah, that was it. I mean, you're probably you're pulling well over that.
My one max is like 220 kilograms on the deadlift.
Holy shit.
So that is let me see what that is in pounds. 485.
Oh my god. You're an animal.
It's so weird looking at.
How tall are you?
Pounds, guy, because that makes me sound like a beast. I can do 485 pounds. It sounds way more impressive than 220 kilos.
That is impressive, Lionheart. You got to understand what's like. That's huge, man. Like you're probably just a genetic freak, though. You're probably just like 6. Like I don't know how tall you are, but like you're probably just.
I wouldn't say genetic freak.
Yeah, you're just like out there. Yeah, you're like. How tall are you? Like in terms of
6 foot.
You're 6 foot. Okay, so you're 6 foot. You're probably weighing like what, 200 pounds, 200 something pounds. And
yeah, whatever that is in
kilos, and you're just like ripping it, man. Like that's crazy. You just walk in, you're just like. I'm
at the moment. I'm on one of those like eternal bulk builds. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm
you
like,
just don't care about what you're eating. You're just.
No, I've got a powerlifting build. I just could not. I say this. I was talking to my brother and stuff. He's like, "Oh, you got to slim down. You got to get the abs back."
Tell him to shut up.
It's like a fucking weapon, mate. Exactly. Fucking abs. What are you talking about?
Oh my god. Do you run?
I want to be warm in the winter with my top off. You know, one of those builds.
Oh, nice. A day in the life of a true Brexit geezer, right? Like you're just out there at the pub with your shirt off. What do you run at all, or no? You're just lift only?
I play. Not much. No, I used to play a lot of sports like football and cricket and rugby, all that sort of good stuff. But that's.
You'd be sick at rugby,
play as much
man.
Anymore.
You should play rugby. You'd be sick at rugby.
Well, funny enough, I was one of the when I did play rugby, I was one of the small guys. You know,
really? No way. Are you kidding?
Yeah. I was one of the small. No. I played near the wing as well. So, yeah.
Oh, I'm a short.
Rugby's a really rough sport.
I'm a short Spanish kid. So like, and I'm in the military. So like, when I go and they like, all right, here you go, man. Like here's your plate carriers and your rifle and your helmet. I put all that on. I look like a little kid playing dress up, and I'm like, all right, let's go, guys. Like just my stubby little legs.
I'm telling you, man. The 5'7" guys or the little 5'8" guys in rugby, they're the difficult ones to catch, man, because they just weave in and out of you, man.
Yeah,
they're the difficult ones. The big guys, you got something to aim for. The little ones, they're the difficult ones to catch, man.
I love it. Let's go. So we'll work our way back now. That's funny. Yep. I didn't know that you're into fitness. That's super cool, man. I'm in the gym 5 times a week as well, either running or lifting.
Yeah.
So totally get you. And so if WE approached you and they said, hey man, like we want to give you a salary, we want to pay you, and you're gonna keep your ear to the ground and you're gonna be the new Viper for Age of Empires 3, would you do it? Would that be the case?
Oh well, I mean, if it paid more than my full-time job, then hell yeah, of course,
okay.
Of course I would.
Yeah,
of course I would.
So you're saying it's a logistical issue, that it's like because you just have people out there that are just 2K elo. They don't necessarily have the time like to really engage with everybody across the community. Is what you're saying, right? It's like
yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay. Interesting, because it seems like I think I go back to that Julian statement, which is just honestly funny when you reflect on it, but it's like it does kind of like from where we're standing, which is the majority of the player base, to be honest with you. The majority of the player base is around the 1,000 to 1,400 elo. And you hear that and you're like, well, I don't make mills in Age 1. In fact, I'm watching the videos, I'm working on my micro, we're doing in-house stuff, like I'm asking about builds, I'm practicing things, I go on the ladder, this, that, and the other, and then, and they're trying their best, and, so like for me in my story, I went from 700, I started at 700 elo, and I climbed through practice all the way to 1,300, and I mean, like I'm like, and it was a slog, you know what I mean? Like it was hard, and I just and from where I'm standing, I'm like, I don't think people at the top really understand what it's like down here to like climb, you know what I mean, of how difficult that actually is, because then it like we make the joke, it's like, oh, sometimes you just lose that Civ selection micro. You're
Well,
like,
if Julian, if you're listening, stop being a piece of shit and actually engage with every part of the community. I have to give one thing that Julian has done recently is he put out those
guides.
micro guides.
Right.
I do know they obviously are behind a paywall, but fair play to the guy. He's making some money out of something he's put a lot of work into.
Right.
So I don't, I wouldn't expect something like that to be for free. However, I do know that a lot of people have bought that guide, and I imagine the majority of people that bought that guide are people who want to improve and are probably lower elos. So, I something like that, I think, shout out to Julian for inputting the time to do something like that, and I think that's something that helps, and that's easily something that can bridge gaps, So yeah, I mean, but Julian, stop being a piece of shit.
So I guess that would be the way to solve our engagement issue of like kind of bridging between the lower and the high would be, I honestly think that it kind of goes back to the community engagement from World's Edge, right? Of like encouraging and facilitating those, that dynamic of saying, hey, we're gonna start to bring people together and we're gonna start trying to put some money into this and make it work, because obviously
the best way to do all of this. Sorry to interrupt you, mate.
No, you're good.
Because I don't want the thought to go away. The best way to do all of this is to speak to ESOC. The ESOC are the ones who have links in with people in the game, developers, all of this sort of stuff, and they don't say anything to me, but I whenever I speak to like Josh, for example, I know that he is trying to do lots of this stuff, and he really wants, Josh is clearly a passionate person in the community, and he clearly wants to do these sorts of things and stuff like that. So honestly, the best way to do these things is to get ESOC involved, because they're the biggest community in the game, or certainly the biggest tournament and stuff like that.
Right.
They're the ones who get the biggest numbers. So speaking to them and seeing what things could be done, is the best way to do this, I think.
Yeah, I agree about Josh. He's certainly a very active and passionate individual, and I'm appreciative of him. I think some of the impression that ESOC gives, though, and I want to get your thoughts on this really quick, is that they're kind of the boomers of Age of Empires 3. They're kind of like the old heads that are like, legacy is legacy only, man. Like all this DE stuff is nonsense. It's all about legacy, and we want to keep that old flame, that old tradition alive, because they were the scene, like during the golden age, right? They were the forums, they were the community, they were the tournament organizers. And then I think DE, and I mean the ESOC patches, right, that followed from that kept the game alive. I think following from that, DE kind of blew up that scene, and things have kind of fragmented into lots of different bits, right? So with all the different discords, and ESOC just doesn't command the same sort of like weight that it once did, and it still has the old heads. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on that, of that perspective, or if you think that's sort of unfounded.
I think that might be the case, don't get me wrong. However, I think it's unfair to associate that with them not embracing lots of new stuff. I understand, the perception about the latest tournament, for example, where it was a legacy tournament, and that is out of the ordinary, right? Because I think they've only done like 2 of them maybe, like recently, and I think the idea behind that was to try to engage some of the old head top players. And the reason why they would want to do something like that is because they'd want to give the most entertaining experience, for everyone, for the whole community. So I think, I don't really have a bad word to say about ESOC. I think ESOC are fantastic. And although there might be some old heads there, that's, they engage with everyone. Like Josh is constantly speaking to everyone and speaking to people and stuff like that. So getting their thoughts and opinions and stuff like that. So I think it's probably, just because there might be some old heads there doesn't mean that what they're doing is based off legacy game necessarily.
Gotcha. And I want to round it off with, I feel like I would be amiss to not ask you about Shake Drama.
Shake Drama.
Let's talk about Shake Drama. Just
Shake Drama.
Yeah, let's do it. Like, are you familiar at all with what's been like the kind of blow up after the patch?
Yes.
Yeah. Thoughts, questions, comments,
concerns? Shake is I like Shake. Shake's actually coming down to London at some point next year, and you
guys look a little similar. A little, like when I look at his profile picture, I'm like, oh, you guys look kind of the beard and the hat,
He's got
and the
that,
glasses.
the beard. Yeah. I see what you're saying. And when he comes down, hopefully I'll be free because I would love to go for a drink with him.
Sure.
And he's a very passionate person, and he's passionate about the game. He's clearly passionate about Sweden, which is his main civ, and it has been for a long time. And I think Shake's not one to if he if he feels wronged or he feels something's gone wrong or something's happened, he'll shout about it. So the way in which Shake, and he'll be the first to own up to this. Sometimes the way in which he goes about things or says things as a knee-jerk reaction is probably not the best way of doing things. And he knows this, but he does wear his emotions on his sleeve. Puts his heart on his sleeve, and that's because he's passionate about the game, and that's only a good thing, right? Mm-hmm. So I think he blew up. Mainly, he was pissed off clearly because of the nerfs to Sweden, the hacker pellet nerfs, which is something he's been doing a lot of. And in fairness, it's something that he has been spearheading. He kind of brought the hacker pellet stuff to the forefront. He was kind of making it his own, and he came up with his own build orders and stuff like that. And when you put a lot of work into things, and for things to just get nerfed all of a sudden, when you feel like they shouldn't be, and like I said earlier, Sweden are considered quite a low tier civ at high levels. Right. For them to be nerfed and not to get any love and not to get any buffs, that would be annoying. Don't get me wrong, and believe me, I'm the first person that bloody knows this. That at the start of our conversation, I'm the first one to put something out there, and then it bloody gets nerfed. My builds do get nerfed, believe it or not. So I understand how he feels. I did have a chat with him actually, and I said, look, you need to have I think it would be a really good idea for you to have a discussion with this person. This person got back to them, and they had a really good discussion. So I hear, and he says, yeah, I'm happy now. And I said, oh great. What did that person say? Can't tell you. But it's I think it was just Shake had a knee-jerk reaction to something, and that's just because he's passionate. That's all that is. And what's bad about having people in the community that are passionate about the game? He's one of the leaders of Free Food Party, which I have a lot of respect for. I love Free Food Party. They do a lot of really good stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's just that's the drama, really. I don't know the ins and I don't know if there's anything else a part of that, because I know he went on the official forums, so I don't know if there was any other drama that I might be missing. By all means, fill me in if there is.
Yeah, I think there was just the fact that the 9-month gap, just the lack of engagement, from January all the way to announcement of the delay into and then this.
And that's frustrating.
Yeah, it is frustrating.
That's frustrating. It is frustrating that we didn't have a patch for such a long time. And again, there's only so many people that work on this game. Age of Mythology has just come out, and that is what's taken a lot of the focus away from Age of Empires 3 at the moment. But they'll come back to Age of Empires 3. People just need, and it's difficult, but people just need to be patient. That's all it is. People just need to be patient. The DLC will be coming. I'm sure it will be coming. And people just need to be patient. That's all it is. And I know that's difficult, but because people are passionate about the game and people want these updates, and people want this and want that, but people are just gonna have to be patient, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then as well as the announcements from the I don't know if you watched the live stream where they announced the DLC, and it was just the two flags. You know what I mean? And people were like,
it's a kick in the teeth.
Yeah.
It's a kick in the teeth.
So it's stuff like that.
And we don't deserve that. Yeah, well, and I agree. We don't deserve that because, again, when you look at our numbers, we've got great numbers. I'm sure we've sold lots of DLCs this game. I'm sure it's done really well for the amount of staff that is dealing with Age of Empires 3. And you're right. And when we talk about the community manager stuff earlier, we deserve more. We really do deserve more. We're a passionate community. And I think they know that as well. But whoever it is that is supposed to be part of the community or whatnot, or that's supposed to be doing stuff for Age of Empires 3, they clearly don't have the same passion for Age of Empires 3 that they should have. If I was in that role, I would be passionate about every Age of Empires, not just one or two Age of Empires, So yeah, I mean, it would be nice if Age of Empires 3 could get the love that it deserves. We're not saying it deserves more than any of the other games. We're just saying it deserves as much as it deserves, respect-wise.
So then there is a bit of a secret group that you've conjured up because you were able to put Shake into, have a conversation with this person, and it's a secret conversation that Shake is having with people, and yeah, you're connected, man.
I just said I just said to Shake to go and just maybe to speak to Talanis, because he's he's on Discord. Go and speak to him and put your feelings across and see what he says. And from when I spoke to Shake again, he said Talanis did respond to him and he felt much better afterwards. And that's people, that's because there are some people that slate Talanis, and I think that's unjust, because personally messaging him and him responding to members of the community, that's fantastic, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I firmly agree. I was very supportive of Shake and his passion, and I was kind of like arguing with people who were like, well, there's a way to get a message across, and I'm like, yeah, but I think the community, the fact that we've been so patient and we've been so kind and we've kind of made these excuses, I think the fact that our frustrations haven't really been heard need to actually finally be spoken, and I'm glad that he was able to put himself out there for that. And he is French, right? Is my understanding that he's French? Or
no, he's not. He's Israeli, but he lives in Belgium, I believe.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think he was born in Israel, but I think he lives in Belgium. I think it's Belgium.
Okay, so he's a draft dodger. Got it.
Yeah.
Don't shoot me, Shake. It's just a joke. It's okay.
Well, I mean, he lives up to the stereotype because he works for his father's business, which sells diamonds and stuff. So,
no.
Yeah, he doesn't help himself. And he travels to London quite often, I believe. So, again, he doesn't beat the stereotype.
No, he's not beating any allegations anytime soon now, is he?
No.
Sorry, Shake. Well, it's nice knowing you. Okay, I don't have much else for you. I think there's some other little things, like I was going to ask about No Idol TC, and if you thought that that needed to be revived at all. If
about the what?
No Idol TC.
What's that?
Oh, the website that used to exist that was like the big center hub for guides. Did you not know about this? NoIdolTC.com?
No Idol TC? No, I've never heard of it.
You never heard of it? Yeah, so back in the day, early days of DE, I forget who started it. There was a website called No Idol TC, and it was a very comprehensive and one-stop shop place where, it was all just like guides, like these in-depth guides that were written out by one of the 2K plus ELO players. I forget his name. And so, but that website went away. I think they just stopped paying for the server costs. They, like United States, when the United States released, they made builds for United States, and then it fell off after that. And
I've never heard of that.
Really? Yeah, I feel like there's a lack. Yeah. Well, I mean, I know Julian K has his guides, but I always felt like, losing that, and then after that we lost Drongo, which, I mean, whatever. But the No Idol TC loss, I felt like, the lack of a sort of one-stop shop for like at least free, accessible, not as nice as Julian's guides, but a place that, could really, rather than YouTube, would be able to break down build orders and present things in a sort of comprehensive way.
That sounds brilliant. Yeah, but unfortunately, I was never part of that, or I never saw that.
Oh, okay. Well, then that answers that question. Yeah, I don't have much else for you, man. I appreciate you sitting down and kind of covering the gambit of various conversations with me, answering every question.
No worries, man.
Is there anything else you want to leave off the audience with? Obviously anybody here who's listening knows you, but if you want to let them know where to find you, and if you have any sort of closing statement for this.
No, I mean, I love the community. I love this game, and it's only going from strength to strength. I was looking at the Steam numbers the other day, and we're doing really, really well. It's not going to be long before Asian Morphology drops below us. That's how strong we're doing. No, I mean, if people want to ask questions, just catch me on Discord, or you can join my Discord server. I talk to lots of people all the time. I get asked lots of questions. People send me lots of stuff. So by all means, feel free to just message me privately on Discord, or join my Discord if you want to ask questions on there as well. So feel free.
Yeah. And then, of course, we'll link to all your stuff here in the description. One last thing, since you brought up mythology, I just wanted to say that we really appreciate the fact that you do have mythology videos, because I mean, I own mythology. I do play every once in a while, but I like the fact that it's obviously still like the Age of Empires 3 focus. I think too many times we've seen people jump ship, and I appreciate you like having stayed the course and doing a really nice blend and balance of the both of them. So if anybody hasn't told you that yet, from me to you, I appreciate it.
Oh no, thank you. I mean, the thing is, I'll never stop Age of Empires 3. The only time I'll stop is if I stop enjoying it. And just because a new game comes out, it doesn't mean I'm going to stop Age of Empires 3 because I enjoy it too much. It's more like I'd like Age of Mythology. I want to add to it rather than detract from it. I am actually trying to get Age of Mythology videos down every day as well, but it's I'm not on it as much as Age of Empires 3, so it's a lot easier for me to get the Age of Empires 3 ones out. So I am trying to add to my Age of Mythology videos.
Yeah, gotcha. No, I appreciate it, man. It's good stuff. It's all consistently good content, and we appreciate the mix.
Thanks, man.
So yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that concludes that, guys. If you like it when I talk to Lionheart, we can do this. I mean, once a quarter or something like that. I don't know. We can check in. But if you guys enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your mom. Hey. SerSharkDad.
Hey, Shark,
Shark and Lion. They met up and they talked, and it was a good time.
Oh yeah.
Hope you guys are continuing to enjoy our coverage of Age of Empires 3, all things Age of Empires 3 on this podcast. Thank you so much, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Peace.
Peace.